Hello there guys, and welcome back to one of the new videos of Madhusudhan, and in this I am going to talk about some other concepts and small bits that I found recently in talking to people about the Madhusudhan kind of things, and I hope they help you too in some or other way. Okay, so this time I have made them in an order, in a sequence that one point relates to other more properly. I am also learning how to make this kind of videos, but again, as I said in my last video, you should not completely rely on these videos, these are small bits, because they are just for some particular kind of concepts. You should rely on some coherent source, as I said in the last video. So let us just get started. And yeah, I am not going to wear this cap, as many of you said, why do you always wear cap? Because now my hairs are kind of dry this time. Okay, so let us start. So the first point is uh, x plus iy, imaginary true reality, binary polar nature of everything. And this is one of the core concepts, that is why I put it first, and all of the following concepts will be somehow dependent on this. So you might have heard this by some philosopher in some other ways, but again this is my way of understanding it. X plus iy is a representation of complex numbers. I know it is a bit mathematical and Maneshwari, but okay, Maneshwari that was a weird thing. Okay, it is a bit mathematical, but the point is everything in this world, I should not say this world, but again if I say multiple words, then okay, basically everything exists in two kind of ways. Talking about the general thing that most of you around here are interested, I guess, the general people, about relationships, about success, about your thoughts, about your personality, about yourself, about reality. Everything have two aspects, and x, that is the real part, and y is the imaginary part. This is what I am calling it. You can call it whatever you want. The point is everything has a real part and an imaginary part. You can also see this in FDE if you want, spirituality and enlightenment, illusions and enchantments respectively. Everything exists in two pairs, and to be properly happy, you should say, in the whole complex world, because we are talking about complex numbers, so you can say complex number is what I want to represent complex world with. So complex world is equal to x plus iy, and to be happy in the complex world, you will have to be happy in the x world and the I world, that is imaginary world. You must be happy in both worlds to be properly happy in this world, and the failure of the one world does not depend on the second one. Basically they both are independent. An example, because I think that would be better to make this point clear. I know most of you have relationship kind of things on their mind, because I don't know why people are so much obsessed with it. There are other aspects to reality as well except relationships. You can say love, if that's what relationship is all about, at least to you. Then love is the x part, the real part, and y part, iy part, is the relationship itself, like maintaining relationships and all that stuff. If you are failing at relationship, it does not mean you have to fail at love also. These both are independent. If you are failing at love, but you can still be better at relationships, you can make a kind of truth table 0 1 1 0 0 0 and find 4 possibility, because 2 are there, permutations of 2 will give you 4 possibilities, and every 4 possibility will exist in some or other way. I have made references about this in some of my previous meme review or something, post review or something, or some other demi, but not in this way of express iy. I was seeing this kind of pattern of having things in dual nature, matter dual nature of particles, wave and matter, whatever. So I was seeing this, but I was not properly pausing on this, or I was not pondering on this specific thought. I was just taking each and every specific example, but now I have generalized it, and this is the generalized form that I have understood. I know it won't be very much clear until unless you yourself. Both are, I cannot say equally important, because coming to the complex world also, you cannot say real numbers are important or imaginary numbers are important. Both are, and both are not equally important as well, because in some places imaginary numbers are way important than the real numbers, and in some places real numbers are way important than the imaginary numbers. So you can say it depends upon in which reference you want to see. So if you want to talk about success, then being able to follow your passion and being able to do what you want to do, what you love to do, is the x part, is the real part, and doing it properly, following the guidelines of the ones who have already done good in that field, or learning new things and skill set that will make you good in that field. These are the imaginary parts. Both are important. You cannot say that passion is just passion can do the thing. You also need to have the skill set, and skill set is again not all. You also need to have passion to drive you toward that. enchantment illusion kind of thing we can say again coming around here. But as I said, dual nature of reality is there, so in every aspect try to see both ones. Earlier I used to do this, but I just used to see them with respect to enchantment and illusion, that is the cause and the effect. But now when I'm talking about x plus iy, then it does not always imply that there will be two parts, there will be cause and effect kind of relationship every time. In some cases it just might be two independent things, because cause and relationship are very much interdependent on each other, but this thing is not. So you'll have to ponder on this on your own to get the more proper perception and realization of this concept. Okay, next point. Understand and be complex to feel the essence of simplicity, not to be complex. So as I was talking about complex number last time, so again it is something like related to complex, but again as I said, I am trying my best to make everything interrelated so that it can be like something, as I said, coherent. But again I cannot say that all of my videos will be coherent in this series specifically. And yeah, I put on this hoodie because my hairs are going mad. Understand and be complex to feel the essence of simplicity. Okay, so the basic point, it will have to be complex to be simple. That's all I want to say by this complex word. To be simple, you'll have to learn how to be complex, you'll have to understand the complex phenomena. Like, okay, you can also understand this thing by the quote of Einstein, if you cannot explain it simply, you haven't got it well, and to understand it well, to get it well, you'll have to understand the complexity of it. So this is what I want to reference here, that you are required to be complex to be simple. Like, people often call me complex because of my persona system, because of my various weird ways of living, but again those complex things make me this simple enough to properly focus on various kind of problems, various kind of human aspects, various kind of human thoughts, to properly talk about them or properly understand them and be this much stable to do this whole kind of work at the same time. So you'll have to be complex enough to understand the simplicity, not to be complex. Again, this is kind of illusion thing that comes when you are being complex, because you might start getting some kind of happiness or fake illusionary doping in your mind, that when you are being complex, you are being happy in being complex, even though that complexity is illusionary. But again, these things comes in the core concept of illusion and reality, so I'll talk about it someday later properly. But don't get in these kind of traps of being trapped in illusion. So be complex to be simple, not to be complex. Next point, beware of mystical lures. Fancy words look good, but aim is calmness, not power. So this again comes from a very personal experience. I have been talking to some people, and the thing that they again refer to when things comes to spirituality and being able to control your mind properly and being stable mentally, then what they're looking for actually is power. And as I mentioned in my earlier video, कर्म करो फल की इच्छा मत करो. Again they are just focusing on the power they'll get. And again, if you want to focus on something, then at least focus on calmness, because power is never the option, never the thing that you really want. And various kind of sci-fi things have also told us in various ways. Mythologies have told this way that power is an illusion in some sense, you can say. So you don't really need that, you need calmness. And what I mean by beware of mystical lures is that in some mythologies and in some various textbooks of various peoples who have understood various concepts in various ways, they have tried to write these things of spirituality and these concepts of mental calmness, mental energy, peace and all, in such form that it becomes kind of luring, so that people would engage in this. Because initially, be honest, anyone won't like to meditate for an hour or won't like to question their existence. So that is why they are made in format that it lures people. But again, people have understood it wrong, and the way that the writer intended to write it, the main concept, people left that and they got attached to the luring parts that he have written to make the things look good. The people got stuck to the formatting of the text instead of the text, instead of the content. So that's not a good thing, and you should be very aware of this, because I have seen people when it comes to like talking about dimensions and talking about being able to access higher dimensions by doing meditation, being able to control your mind energy while meditation and all this stuff by doing spirituality, then people get really stuck in the literal meaning of being able to ascend to some dimensions. It is kind of dimension thing to ascend to when you go from one element to other, or you go from one stage to other of meditation and spirituality. But again, to properly getting into the trap of actually feeling like there will be some kind of super magic Doctor Strange kind of thing with you, then that's just a luring. That is just a way to portray what they wanted to talk about in the real sense. You'll just become more calm after learning things. You will just be able to see the world in a different way, by which the things will appear to you differently, and you can say that you are seeing the things from a different angle or a different dimensions. Just various fancy ways to make things attractive so that people come into this field, because this is the reality. I mean, enlightenment is the reality, you are the god is the reality. So next point, be uniform, same concepts applies in mythologies and sci-fi. And this I have again personal experience. I have been in some webinar kind of things, I don't know what to call it, webinar, seminar, group discussion, deliberation, whatever. So the thing is, in that people were purposely mentioning mythologies and talking about the things that are bad in that, and they are not properly understanding that the aim of showing that bad was to point that it is bad. The point wasn't to mark that it has been done in mythology, so everything in the mythology is right. And while explaining to them, because for sure whenever something like this comes, I try to explain it on the moment. So while explaining to them, when I talked about the point that the main point of that scene or that part wasn't to mark the injustice in the world, or to mark that the things are not good and we should be like that. The point was to mark that things are not good and we should not be like this, what one should not do. That was the point of showing the bad things in that mythology. But again, people did not get it. They were some they took mythology as some weird everything right thing. And again, it's all about interpretation, perception, reality. Reality depends upon perception, perception depends upon knowledge, and they did not have enough knowledge to perceive the mythologies properly, and hence the realities of mythologies changed as per them. I knew the concept, but they did not understand, and that's why they are even getting the wrong messages from the kind of thing that is meant for everything right. So but again, when the same people see things like Avengers Endgame and sci-fi things, they understand the concept that yeah, this is a bad guy, and the aim of showing that this is the bad guy is not to promote a bad guy, but to point that we should not do what bad guy is doing. But people don't apply this thing in mythology, they treat it as something different. So my point is, most of the things that are made with respect to prove or keep some point to people, or to make them understand some fundamental aspect of reality or human, then the point is not to show or to promote someone to be the bad guy. The point is to tell them how not to be the bad guy. So don't see things as different, don't discriminate between reality. Everything is same, just have your own specific conscience and judge everything properly. And don't get into the lures that this is mythology, this is some very weird kind of thing, this is some different kind of thing, and this is sci-fi, this is some different kind of thing. Both, everything nearly in the world meant to point to the same thing when it comes to mythologies, but again people are understanding it in various wrong ways. Next point, make your own food, can't always eat outside, not healthy, be independent. So first of all, I just show you some screenshots about the scene or about the talk from which I got this point. As I said, I have been talking about these points from the personal experiences that I have talked to various people in deliberation, in programs, in chats, in various ways. So this also came from that, and these are the chats that you have seen right now. So the point is, being independent is never good, and I have talked about this in the last video also about having a coherent means to be to get this kind of knowledge. But again, even after getting a coherent source, you must not be completely dependent on it, you must just use it for the side references. You would have read the chats and you would have got what I wanted to say. So I hope I don't need much explanation on this point. So that's all for this video, nothing much. It was supposed to be a small video, and yeah, that's all. Have a good day, enjoy.